I remember that night as if it happened just yesterday. It was 2 years ago when my husband and I had moved to our new residence in the city. The life was pretty ordinary until that fateful night. That still sends shiver down my spine. My husband had a job that required him to work night shift, so I often found myself alone in the darkness of the night. It was a quiet neighborhood and we had adjusted well to our new surrounding. But one night everything changed. The clock on the wall ticked away, and the airy silence of the night was suddenly shattered by the relentless barking of stray dogs. I jolted awake, disoriented and groggy, trying to make sense of the chaos outside. Time on my bedside clock read 4 a.m., and the cacophony of barking continued, growing louder and more menacing by the second. I couldn't go back to sleep with the uproar outside, so I decided to investigate the source of the disturbance. I slipped out of my bed and quietly made my way to the front door. Chilling howls of the dogs filled the air as I stepped onto the porch. I peered across the road, and under the flickering streetlight, I saw a figure standing there, bathed in airy dim light. My heart skipped a beat as I strained my eyes to get a clearer look. The figure was dressed in a black suit and it had no head. Literally, it had no head. My breath caught in my throat as I watched in horror. For a few agonizing moments, it remained motionless. Then, as if it sensed my presence, it began to move towards me. Every hair on my body stood on end. Fear coursed through my veins. I was paralyzed, unable to move or scream. But the figure drew nearer. I snapped out of my terror induced state. Panic surged within me. With all my strength I could muster, I forced my legs to carry me back inside. I slammed the door shut and locked it, my hands trembling uncontrollably. I was shivering, my mind was racing with the thought of what I had just witnessed. Could it have been a nightmare? I desperately tried to convince myself that it was all in my head, but deep down I knew what I had just witnessed. In my state of distress, I reached for my phone and dialed my husband's number. My voice trembled as I recounted what had just happened. He assured me that it was probably just a bad dream and promised to call the police to ease my fear. I huddled in my bedroom, my eyes fixed on the locked bedroom door, waiting for my husband to return. The minutes dragged on like hours. I could still hear the dogs barking faintly in the distance, but then there was another sound that sent terror coursing through my veins, a relentless banging on the front door. I gasped, my heart hammering even harder in my chest. My husband was still on the phone with the police. I feared for my safety. The banging grew louder and more aggressive, echoing through the quiet house. It was as if something or someone was trying to break in. Tears streamed down my face as I clutched the phone, desperately praying for police to hurry. My husband assured me that help was on the way, but fear was overwhelming. I couldn't shake the image of that headless figure in the black suit. Now it was trying to force its way into our home. Minutes felt like eternity, but eventually, wailing sirens of the police cars pierced through the night. Relief washed over me as I heard officers approaching, my hand still shaking as I unlocked the door and let them in. They searched the area thoroughly, but to my utter astonishment, they found nothing. No trace of headless figure in the black suit, no evidence of intruder, Dogs had fallen silent. It was as if night had returned to its peaceful, ordinary self. My husband returned to home. Police assured us it must have been a false alarm, perhaps a prankster trying to scare us. But I knew deep down it had been real. We didn't stay in that neighborhood for long after that incident. We moved out of our new residence just a month later, trying to put that horrifying night behind us.